Evolution have sent me this R90JGS-Li 18V cordless jigsaw to review. It's part of their new cordless range. It's a variable speed jigsaw, 0 to 2,300 strokes per minute. It's got a stroke length of 25mm. It will cut wood up to 60mm in depth and mild steel to 6mm. It can also cut from 0 to 45 degrees on either side. And I'm quite looking forward to giving this a test and see what it's like. So I'm going to try cutting some 6mm mild steel. I'll put the Pendulum Action on 1. I don't want any Pendulum Action. I'm going to try cutting a bit of a curve. I'm really impressed with that. I never expected that to be as easy as it was. I certainly never expected that. So 6mm mild steel, no problem at all. Plastic pipe. No problem at all. Shelving bracket. Yep, no real problems with that. So I've drawn a very rough heart on this piece of pine, and I'm going to try and cut it out now with the jigsaw. I've got to say the light that shines down on this is really quite handy. The variable speed on this is really quite nice. Now, I have literally just spent 10 minutes messing about with this little heart that I cut out. I drew it freehand. It is really quite poor, but it will just give you an idea of what you can do with these things. Now, notice there's a big chip out the wood there. If I'd have used a fine wood blade, it would have been, first of all, a lot easier to cut, because all this tear out wouldn't have been going on. I'd have been able to see the line better, and it would have been a much neater job. You know, you could actually make some very decent stuff with a jigsaw. You just got to get the right blades, get some decent wood, and then get good at it. And once you get good at it, you can do all sorts of stuff. But that's just a very quick example, and that is just a force and a bit. You can buy these online as well, and obviously get your tea candles, and away you go. Okay, just one last thing I'm going to cut out with a jigsaw, and this is a very practical thing that I'm going to make. Now I've got to say, no cable on the end of this is a pure joy. Because normally when you're using something like this, you've got a cable that's getting snagged and you're pulling it behind. It does actually affect the way that the saw moves. Being cordless, it's a pure joy. So that is what I've cut out. I'm just going to spend 5 minutes cleaning it up. Basically, I've just made a push stick for my table saw. I just copied one that I already had. The wood's a bit thick for it really, it could do to be thinned off, but that was just a quick demonstration of something very practical that you can make in just a few minutes. It took me literally 5 minutes to sand that after I'd made it, and I've got a second push stick for my saw now. Just a quick look at the box. Inside the box, along with the jigsaw, there is a dust collection adapter, a straight edge guide with a clamp so that you can clamp it in place, an Allen key, 5 multi-purpose jigsaw blades, a set of instructions and associated paperwork. I've just had a play with this saw so that I can show you what the Allen key is for. Now you'll see that this base is very loose and wobbling around all over the place. In the centre there is an Allen screw. What I'm going to do is just tighten that Allen screw up until the base is tight. Lever forward and you can see that's released the saw. Push the saw forward and then you can tilt it and you can see there's a graduated scale there on either side, so you can set the angle. This is 45 degrees. Pull it back and clamp, and if you look in there you can see the silver teeth engaging into the slots in the base. The straight edge guide can be fitted on either side of the saw and then just clamped with this screw like so. The vacuum adapter just slots into the back there. It's quite a tight interference fit. The multi-purpose blades are a kind of a standard fit. They'll fit other makes of jigsaw. You can see it says cut steel, aluminium and wood. If I flip the packet over, you can see that it also cuts other things as well. There's some cable in there, plastic pipe. So they're quite useful and they definitely are general purpose blades. To fit the blade, it needs to go into this spring-loaded connector. There's a socket in there that the blade fits into and you can see that slides up and down, and it's also got to rest inside this groove here on the wheel. So up along the groove, into the slot on the spring-loaded connector, push up the connector, pushing the blade, and you'll notice that the connector moves out this way towards the front of the saw. Push it all the way in until that cross piece rests against the connector, and that is a blade fitted. So to fit the battery is really simple. You can see there's a groove there where it goes. There's a battery. Just slide it down until it clicks. Now I'll just show you the variable speed on this because it's the trigger that operates a variable speed. So there's also a safety button on the top there and there's one on either side. It's for right or left-handed people. You need to press that in order to start the saw. So I'm going to demonstrate the variable speed. I'm pressing that safety button in now so I can use the trigger, and I'm pulling it in slowly now. You can see there's a light on the jigsaw that lights up the workpiece, but here we go, I'm just pulling it up slowly. So that's as slow as you can get it to go, and then I'm going to keep pulling it up now. So that is the variable speed trigger. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is a pendulum action on the saw. Now you can see there's a lever there with 1, 2, 3 and 4 with indents on it. Now the pendulum movement means that without it, the saw blade will just move vertically up and down. With the pendulum movement, it moves the saw backwards and forwards as well. You really do not want that pendulum action on when you're cutting harder materials. So for steel, that type of thing, it should be set at 1. But I'm going to try and film that pendulum action so you can see it. So watch this wheel. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can see that is moving backwards and forwards. If I put it back onto 1, No movement on one, a lot of movement on four. So that's how pendulum action works. It makes it far more aggressive, it cuts way quicker, but at the same time it gives you a rougher cut. Hopefully I've given you guys an idea of what this tool is capable of and what it's like to use. I'm really impressed with it. I would never have thought that a jigsaw, especially a cordless one, would be able to cut 6mm mild steel, and it wasn't just like a short section, there was about 3 inches of it. So I'm really impressed with that, and curves as well. It could cut a curve. Now, when it comes to woodwork, these multi-purpose blades will do the job, but I think if you're going to buy this and your intention is to do some craft work with it in wood, then invest in some proper woodworking blades. You can buy all different types of woodworking blades. You can get ones that allow you to make much tighter curves in the work that you're doing, and they'll give you a much cleaner cut as well. So that's something to think about. Now, the fact that it doesn't have a cable coming out the back means it's so much easier to use. If you've got a cable hanging off the back of a jigsaw and you're making intricate curves, the cable always gets in the way, and to get rid of that cable is absolutely joyous. So I think it's a smashing little saw. I'm really glad that they've asked me to review this. My advice would be to go for the 4 Ah or the 2 Ah battery. They'll probably be fine. And I was also thinking that this thing has all sorts of other uses. You could use it to strip down pallets, prune the odd branch off a tree. You know, there are endless uses that you could think of to use this thing for, not just woodwork and cutting the odd piece of metal. I think it would prove very handy for anybody and be a valuable addition to anybody's workshop. I hope you found this review useful, and thank you very much for watching.